It's no secret that Max Holloway believes that he's the best boxer in the UFC. In fact, he literally declared himself just that while beating the brakes off Calvin Kattar back in January 2021.
I'm the best boxer in the UFC, baby!
Max Holloway!
Blessed, Holloway's nickname, is mostly attributed to all he has accomplished in his life.
Come see me!
But it could also be applied to how lucky his opponents are to still be able to fight.
I told you guys, all these guys is cupcakes. I look forward to the new flavor, but any of them can get it. I like cupcakes.
He holds victories over UFC elites, such as Cub Swanson, Frankie Edgar, Jose Aldo,
Hashtag where's Jose Waldo? Let me know when you guys find him.
and Brian Ortega. He won the UFC featherweight championship in 2017 and defended his belt 3 times before losing to Alexander Volkanovski. But how exactly did he rise to the top of the UFC ranks?
The pride of Hawaii, Max Holloway!
Born in Honolulu, Hawaii, in December of 1991, Holloway grew up in Waianae, known for its tradition of fist fighting, in a household that was far from peaceful. Not only were his parents abusive to each other, they were also heavy crystal meth users. Sure, Hawaii is a piece of heaven on earth. However, the environment Max was raised in was plagued by violence and neglect.
My mom was a heavy drug addict.
Although Holloway's mother, Missy, was eventually able to clean up, little is known about his father, other than he left the family when Max was around 10 years old.
I don't even remember him being in my life. He was like maybe in and out my life when I was a kid, and then like after 10 for sure, just kind of never ever was there.
Clearly, you don't need a psychology degree to figure out why. As a teenager, Max felt drawn to fighting.
I just had a chip on my shoulder. I always thought so, like people owed me stuff, the world owed me stuff.
He started training kickboxing in 2007, at the end of his sophomore year, and went on to win his first amateur bout after just 3 days of training.
I fight for God's army.
By 2011, Holloway was starting to make a name for himself after winning a match against veteran fighter Harris Sarmiento.
Fighting out of God's army, Max Holloway!
This earned Holloway the lightweight championship for X1, a Hawaii-based MMA promotion.
And I had to prove something to the world.
Blessed as he was, the big leagues came knocking, and in 2012, Dana White made him an offer to join the UFC. In 2012, when he debuted in the UFC in a match against Dustin Poirier, Holloway was the youngest fighter on the roster at just 20 years old. Although the match did not go his way, Holloway looked impressive in his stand-up game, but proved to be, at the time, just too inexperienced on the ground, losing by a mounted triangle armbar in the first round.
It is all over!
Brilliant.
It was so brutal that Dustin earned a submission of the night bonus for his performance.
No regrets at all, but I thought I could keep it on my feet longer, but things happen for a reason, and just gotta keep it moving.
Holloway would quickly bounce back and win his next 3 bouts against Pat Schilling, Justin Lawrence, and Leonard Garcia respectively, resulting in many hyping him up as an exciting prospect to keep an eye on. 2013 was supposed to be the year that Max Holloway would truly make his impact and go mainstream. However, it ended up being the year marked by disappointment. In one of the best fights on the UFC 160 undercard, Dennis Bermudez used takedowns and some big power shots to defeat Holloway and earn a split decision victory.
Some people are successful because they're destined to be, others are successful because they're determined to be. And that's something I've kind of lived by and just try to, follow.
Holloway used his range and a surprisingly improved ground game to weather the Bermudez storm. But the raw power and athleticism of Bermudez won the day. Both men fought well, and the decision, as expected, sparked controversy among fans, as Holloway appeared to land more strikes than his opponent, despite doing less damage. The 11 media members actually voted that Holloway won the fight, but in the end, the judges gave the nod to Bermudez. Evidently, it was a close fight. Eager to make up for this loss, just 3 months later, Holloway would enter the octagon to face one of the best up-and-comers in the business, the notorious Conor McGregor.
And this place is on its feet. I know this is Boston, and I know
The featherweight bout took place at UFC Fight Night 26 at Boston's TD Garden. After a rock star-like entrance and a crowd response usually reserved for the biggest headliners, McGregor put on a fine all-around display of skills, dominating Holloway for 15 minutes, ultimately earning a unanimous decision victory. 2 judges scored the match 30-27, and 1 judge scored it 30-26. And just like that, Holloway's record dropped to a mediocre 7-3, while McGregor stretched his own win streak to 10 fights.
I'd say it's crazy back home, and I look forward to getting back home celebrating this with my countrymen, you know what I mean?
Up until this match, Holloway had looked like the next good-to-great featherweight. But after 2 straight losses, there were now serious questions as to what his ceiling was.
He was once thought of as a young prodigy, and in walks Conor McGregor and kind of stole that title, obviously.
Though he was still just 22 years old, he couldn't afford to have a 3-fight losing streak. So, in Singapore, at the start of 2014, Holloway successfully salvaged his can't-miss prospect status by putting on an impressive performance against Will Chope. Standing at 6'4", Chope has to be the thinnest, healthiest person we've ever seen in the octagon. He's a submission fighter, while Holloway is a dynamic striker. Not only did the contrasting styles make for a good fight, but the bout helped fans recognize Holloway's incredible ability to attack and connect with his opponent's midsection.
Smart takedown attempt here, but look.
He must have paid diligent attention during his high school anatomy class, as he relentlessly created angles from which he could strike his opponent. By always attacking from an angle, he proved able to inflict a level of damage that is seldom replicated in the featherweight division. He didn't just box. He utilized the full arsenal of strikes to wield Chope, eventually forcing him against the fence, where he continued to work him over, finally winning with a TKO.
Max Holloway with the TKO victory over Will Chope, and look good doing it.
The performance earned Holloway the knockout of the night, marking his first ever UFC performance bonus.
I gotta thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Today, my son Rush, he makes 2 happy birthday, son. Daddy loves you. Woo!
From there, Blessed would launch on an incredible run of 13 victories, beating the likes of Charles Oliveira,
But right here, and he pulls that arm out, something seems to happen.
First and foremost, I gotta thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Anthony Pettis,
First and foremost, I gotta thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
and Brian Ortega.
He looked insane.
Insane.
So good.
And the celebration is on.
Not just that, but the way he was winning was also in phenomenal fashion. In 10 out of his 13-match winning streak, he either won by TKO, submission, or knockout. For a moment, it seemed as if Dana White's strategy was to throw Holloway at upcoming prospects to further their stock. This backfired because Max refused to be cannon fodder and opted to beat them instead.
Now you can really be happy.
However, his reputation was still somewhat underplayed until his first encounter with Jose Aldo on the octagon. Despite winning nearly 30 rounds consistently on his run to the lineal title, the early career losses to McGregor and Poirier left an overplayed stain on Holloway's reputation. This changed in June of 2017, at UFC 212 in Rio de Janeiro.
The bigger the game you bring in to the table, the more bigger paychecks you get. And I think Aldo is he's a silverback gorilla.
For the longest time, Aldo was the paragon of technical depth in MMA. He entered the octagon with a 26-2 record, while Holloway came into the fight riding a 10-fight winning streak over the previous 3 years. At the time, this was Holloway's biggest fight in the UFC, and he made it count in grand fashion. He proved the doubters wrong, defeating Aldo by TKO and becoming the undisputed UFC featherweight champion.
I saw Aldo when I was 17. I wanted to fight him when I was 17. I was a kickboxer. You see a picture of me, this little scrawny kid. I wanted to fight him then. I was like, this guy's badass. I want to fight him. And then, a couple years later, I figured out what MMA was, and I wanted to be a UFC champion,
A rematch took place in December of that same year, which went down somewhat similar to their first encounter.
The pride of Hawaii, Max Blessed.
There is no UFC champion that is more commanding of a fight than Max Holloway. He doesn't mind giving away the first couple frames in a fight, if that means opening up body shots and setting a pace. When his momentum starts to ramp up, opponents generally fall way behind. Alongside Tony Ferguson, Holloway might be the most intrinsically skilled fighter in MMA history at forcing opponents to work. But unlike Ferguson, Holloway has much greater defensive and offensive depth without putting himself in compromising positions. He reads his opponents extremely well and knows exactly how to play into their tendencies. With this rematch, Holloway had his 12th consecutive win, making him the first man to beat Aldo 2 times.
First time was fun. This time was even funner.
I'm here with Max Holloway, ladies and gentlemen. Max, this is an opportunity for you to fight for the title, but also to fight to revenge one of the 2 losses on your record. Give us your thoughts on this fight.
The man said I need to make a mistake in there tomorrow. I just need him to show up. I'll see you guys tomorrow night.
Max Holloway, ladies and gentlemen.
In 2019, after years of unbridled success in the cage, Holloway had the chance to avenge a previous loss.
That arm that I was talking about earlier. Yep, he's got it. That's it. This is trouble. Nicely done by Poirier.
And took on Dustin Poirier in a fight for the interim lightweight championship at UFC 236.
And how do you pass up on something like this? I was like, I'm ready to go. Let's go. I talked to my team. We decided to fit it in, and we're here today.
Holloway had a deserved case as the sport's best fighter.
Where like when Max Holloway's face goes up on the screen,
people
go nuts
because they know he throws down.
Yeah.
I mean, he's one of the best in the world. He's proven it. He's beat the best in the world time and time again. He's the undisputed featherweight champion of the world. And he didn't get there by accident either. He's had a long road, and the growth and the focus he's shown throughout his career. It was his first. I fought him 7 years ago, his first fight in the UFC, and this is good. This is a completely different fight here. He's the best in the world. I'm expecting to fight the best in the world April 13th.
Poirier had been chipping away at the lightweight division repeatedly and violently.
Dustin Poirier rises again. Poirier closes the rivalry.
The two were considered some of the most humble, classy, and popular UFC fighters on the roster. Pitting them against each other could have easily led to heartbreak.
This is a high-level fight. We have 40 fights between us in the UFC.
To see either man fall short in such a pivotal contest would have been a crying shame. Fortunately, this was not the case. The two athletes went strike for strike and round for round for 25 minutes in one of the sport's greatest showcases of boxing.
The difference in power is very clear.
This was a classical style matchup of volume versus power that remained balanced throughout. Whether Poirier could continue to land hard shots at key moments, or Max would find a way to overwhelm and finish Dustin were open questions until the final bell. The depth of skill each showed in neutralizing their opponent's weapons and strategy was unreal.
They went to war. They went to war.
These fighters truly brought out the best in each other.
Poirier and Holloway go the distance.
Ultimately, Poirier managed to snatch a unanimous decision victory.
You look at the two of them, like after the fight, there was a big difference between the amount of damage that Poirier landed. Big difference. He was hitting him with big shots.
While many fighters would have been frustrated with the result, Max Holloway is as humble as they come.
Max just gave me his gloves for the good fight. What?
As a sign of respect towards Dustin and his charitable ventures, he took off his gloves after the fight and presented them to the Diamond backstage. The gloves were auctioned off, and the funds were donated to Poirier's charity, the Good Fight Foundation. Although this wasn't a victory, it might be our favorite chapter in Holloway's career.
And Max came out on top. He loses better than anyone on the fucking planet. Loses or wins. He just goes, hey, I'm just gonna get better.
Wanting to get back on track, he would then earn a unanimous decision against Frankie Edgar.
You know, I'm really disappointed. Really wanted this one, and I didn't get it done.
I wanted to prove a point and go 5 rounds with him so I can let the world know that I'm here to stay and the Blessed Express is still on the move, baby. Choo-choo!
However, Alexander Volkanovski would then bring an end to the blessed era in the featherweight division with a unanimous decision in the co-main event of UFC 245 in Las Vegas.
Volkanovski can fight you in any fight stance you want to go in.
It was a clinical performance by Volkanovski. The former rugby player focused on leg kicks to limit Holloway's mobility and shut down his offense, among other techniques.
It is what it is, you know. I don't want to sound like a sore loser. It didn't go my way, so at the end of the day, I'm going to go sit down with my team. We're going to watch the film and we'll get better.
Despite losing his title pretty convincingly, Holloway was granted an almost immediate rematch in July 2020.
Guy of Alexander Volkanovski.
You gotta love Maxi Baby, man.
Ooh. Holloway with a knockdown courtesy of the uppercut late in round 2.
The second fight was a more competitive affair.
Off the disengagement. All right, good, you're good.
This time, Volkanovski barely earned a split decision win. Many, Dana White included, were of the opinion that Holloway was robbed of a much-deserved win.
We got some bad judging. And I don't know, has Max been in here yet? I'm sure he's devastated and, you know. Did anybody in here score for Volkanovski? Anybody have for Volkanovski? Nobody in the media? Yeah.
However, after losing 2 times to Volkanovski, people began writing off Holloway's ability to reclaim the UFC featherweight title. He responded in January 2021 by delivering one of the most brutal beatdowns in UFC history against Calvin Kattar. He used his prolific boxing skills to land powerful and precise combinations for 5 straight rounds, while Kattar struggled to stay on his feet.
The man was saying that he had best boxing in all MMA. I wanted to prove that wrong.
The Hawaiian landed 447 total strikes, setting a record for most strikes landed in a single UFC match.
Unanimous decision, the pride of Hawaii, Max Bless
He would follow that with another win against Yair Rodriguez.
If you want to beat the best, you got to be the best. And the best is blessed, baby. All love to your year. This guy's a beast. Viva Mexico!
Both fights earned Holloway the coveted Fight of the Night award. With positive momentum, Holloway felt ready to enter the octagon against Volkanovski once more, hoping to settle their rivalry at UFC 276 in July 2022. As rare as it is historically for a UFC trilogy to include nothing but title bouts, it's even more unique for the third fight to come after one competitor. In this case, Volkanovski holds a 2-0 advantage. However, the third time turned out to be more harm than charm for Holloway, as Volkanovski put forth a virtuoso performance, with all three judges scoring the bout 50-4-5 in his favor.
It feels good, you know what I mean? I'm in a bit of pain at the moment, but the next few weeks are going to be good.
Despite his most recent loss, Holloway still boasts a UFC career record of 23 wins and only 7 losses. Not just that, not one of his losses has ever been by knockout. Besides possessing some of the best boxing skills in UFC history, he also has a very tough chin. Holloway has absorbed the most powerful punches from UFC greats, such as Jose Aldo, Dustin Poirier, and Conor McGregor. In his UFC lightweight championship showdown with Poirier, he continued to march forward and absorb Poirier's powerful punches, while continuing to mount his offense.
Every fight we attack, like it's my first fight and my last fight, you know? I carry myself like a champion, you know? It's not a champion mindset, it's a champion responsibility, you know, and that's what we do.
If people don't realize the rarity of that breed, that's on them. There is a realness to Holloway that is almost unmatched in the UFC. When he says he lives for the sport and he's ready to throw down at any given moment, you believe him. Not many fighters have that special something. That unwitting salesmanship born out of speaking what's simply true to them. The Diaz brothers have it, BJ Penn had it, but honestly not many others, not even McGregor, whose notorious bluster often feels like a performative exercise built into his getting ready for combat. And after all is said and done, Holloway, win or lose, has it.